Welcome to Wednesday, friends. Campers even. We were on the ground in Baltimore yesterday. We have so much we're excited to tell you about. But today, we're going to talk about partner breakups, EV glow-ups, and a rousing talk from the Lowe's CEO. Every once in a while, I get the timing right on the intro.
Yeah, that was tight. I'm impressed because you worked in like more than just the show notes. You worked in some you weaved in the Baltimore trip. I was impressed.
Yo, we were on. This is one of those times where I'm exhausted from like lack of sleep over the last few days, but I'm so excited because we spent the day yesterday in Baltimore with our event. I don't know what to call him, manager Al Kutri, our production/content manager Nathan on our team, and like the 8 people that the hotel and casino had ready for us when we showed up, which surprised me.
They were ready to go. Yeah,
I mean, yeah. I guess we are kind of putting on a big event. You should have
a professional environment, and yeah, if you haven't checked it, you can head to either of our Instagram profiles, either the Asodu or Asodu Events profile. Check out the stories and just kind of see a little bit of the vibe. We'll be dropping some more information over the next 30 days about what Baltimore is going to look like, timing, opportunities to get there, everything.
Circle your calendar. Circle the last week of September. What are the dates, Kyle? 26th, 27th?
Monday night, the 25th, full day Tuesday, full day Wednesday, roll out on Thursday, be home in time for the end of the month.
Let's go. And that's a Saturday close. What a great month to have a Soda Con.
It'll just be a vibe heading into the
ending on a Saturday close. Yeah. So we're excited. A lot more to come out. But in 8 days from now, 8-day countdown is the NADA show. Everybody in auto is kind of talking about it, whether you're going or you're not. No reason to feel bad. We're going to bring you all the stuff we can. We are bringing a huge production team. We're going to be podcasting, live streaming, posting on our social accounts. By the way, follow Asotu Events on Instagram. Yes. That's where you're going to get the stories and the kind of like the real in the dirt on the ground stuff in real time. So if you can't go, we're trying to bring the show to you. So make sure you set reminders, follow us on LinkedIn so that you can kind of see all the stuff and be a part of the event. If you're going to be there, please say hi. If you see our little pirate ship of production.
Real quick, I'm starting to see a lot of comparisons. Like a lot of people in auto went to CES this year. No, without a doubt, a auto-centric event. And I think there's a lot of questions like, is NADA going to mirror the pop culture narrative of CES, or is it just kind of going to be in the same vibe? Or are we going to hear and see a lot more, EV conversations or mobility or technology conversations? I'm sure they'll be around, but it'll be interesting to see the parity between the two events and kind of understand, where auto sits in understanding the pop culture narrative as like an internal dealer network.
That's a very good question. I have my suspicion is that it's going to be like the opposite. Like it's not going to be anything like CES, but there is this like special forces embedded mentality in retail automotive. Couple of guys I know with beards and hats are working to make this a bigger force that are going to be pushing that conversation to the top and tying it to the pop culture narrative. If you're with us, and we know you are if you're watching the show already, let's make that message a little bit louder. I'm not talking about like going all in on EVs. I'm talking about listening to pop culture, listening to consumer behaviors and data and sentiment and reacting to that.
Yep. Understanding the retail.
All right, we got to talk about some news.
Let's do it. Get in.
To the other person.
Stop. Segue.
Time. All right, here we
go. Yeah. All right.
Covered this in this morning's email as well. The EV partnership between Ford and VW that has been a big part of Ford's kind of EV development is likely to be short-lived. The partnership was announced in the year 2000 and was Ford to use VW's MEB EV architecture to speed its development process. At the time, they said by as much as 2 years, and they'll be releasing their first vehicle that was kind of the result of that, which is a small sport crossover similar to the ID4. They'll be releasing that very soon. I think it's like in March. And but they since said they're going to be moving away from that and looking to leverage their own technology that you've seen in the Ford F-150 Lightning or in the Mach E to leverage that stuff in future vehicles. And I guess that really makes sense. And I'm sure they learned a whole lot in their 2-year partnership.
Well, it's interesting, because Ford has done many of these partnerships over the last 15 to 20 years, and they really, like in the mid-teens, divorced of all partnerships. And so, back in 2020, when this partnership came back in, it was kind of an interesting move because Ford wasn't used to that, hadn't been doing that for a little while. But to get ahead in the EV market, understand the battery technology. Obviously, VW's architecture and battery technology is ahead of a lot right now. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Ford can continue to keep up, because I'm sure that they've used some of that R&D in understanding like what's going on in their own tech. So it's interesting, but I think for me this is kind of like anecdotal in the overall scheme of things.
Yeah, I think it highlights how little companies were actually putting into EV development in just a couple of years ago. In 2020, Ford is like, hey, we need a partnership to do this well. Like the shift that happened between that partnership announcement in 2020 and then 2022, I think is staggering. Yes. I'm going to read the telling it like it is from our email. If you don't get our regular email, you should really subscribe to it because it's worth it. It'll be the best email you read every morning. And telling it like it is a little section we put at the end of each story to give you a little fun take on it. You can get the email at asodu.com for free. So here's the telling it like it is following this article. It says, breakups are never easy. To get your mind off it, try taking up a new hobby, watching your favorite movies, reinventing your electric vehicle platform from scratch, increasing your aggression in the biggest auto market in the world, or call your mom. It's a little bit of fun. Why not? Why can't
that got me? That got me this morning, no doubt. Yes.
Oh man. Well, speaking of EVs,
yes.
We at one point in the show, and maybe this was like over a year ago when we started the show, we were like, we're gonna try not to talk about EVs every day. Right?
It's really tough. Okay, so because and some people have asked me like, why do you talk about EVs all the time? Well, there's a couple things. One is there is an awareness factor that we as an industry need to continue to have, even just making our customers aware of what's going on in the EV ecosystem, but also just what we're trying to do is bring context to the relative news in the news ecosystem and in the media ecosystem right now. And so that's what the prevailing narrative is. And I think like if you listen long enough, you understand that we want to take a balanced approach to this. We're not all like all in on EV. It's just, hey, this is what pop culture narrative is listening to. How do we pull that back into current status of retail auto and making that customer communication seamless?
That's well said. Well said.
Had to just lay that on the table for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. Every once in a while, we'll try to give you a little broad view of just things that have popped over the last week in EV news. So we're going to give you a few things today. First, Corvette. They announced yesterday they're getting electrified with its $104,000 gas electric hybrid E-Ray. It was kind of fun looking into this vehicle. It's their first ever all-wheel drive system, which is cool, right? Better traction, better takeoff. 160 horsepower electric motor on the front axle, and the 495 horsepower 6.2 small block in the rear. So it's actually got two kind of drivetrains, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, which sounds awesome until you realize that the Z06 gas only could do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. So absolutely unnoticeable. I bet the Z06 sounds a little different getting to 60 than the EV, but I bet it sounds pretty cool. So you got the engine.
No, it's the same V8 power on the rear wheels,
but it's not working as hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't notice, but my favorite.
I'm like, this is like a fake all-wheel drive, and Corvette just trying to live in the thing. They're like, we are quote unquote all-wheel drive because we put a little measly 160 horsepower on the front wheels. There you go.
Well, they're making baby steps. Baby steps. It's not a plug-in hybrid, so you can't like run on battery only, or you can't charge the battery. The battery's just charged from coasting and braking and all that. But this is the coolest feature in my mind. And neighbors of anyone with a Corvette rejoice because now there is a stealth mode that allows drivers to silently exit their neighborhood with only battery power up to 45 miles an hour. So I think that's cool. A little thing just zipping out.
That's fun.
When you call it stealth mode, every dude's like, I need to activate stealth mode.
Right. You make a sound when you press the button. You're like, wow.
Like all the red lights should come on, right? Like you're like military special ops in stealth mode. The next story we're going to talk about is federal tax credit of up to $4,000 for used EVs goes into effect now that we're in 2023. The parameters are pretty tight. And I think it's pretty funny when you go into the click into the article and look at the list. Cars to be less than 2 years old and under $25,000 sales price, which is basically none of them. And when you look,
like find an EV for under 25K that has
2 years old, right? And it's got to have under like 25,000 miles too. So like that's pretty much none of them. And if you go on the list, it's like, here are all the eligible cars. And the first one on the list, because of alphabetical order, is the Audi e-tron, right? Hey, if you can find one for under 25K,
good luck.
Great. You're going to get $4,000 off. And finally, last little point, Tesla has increased the price of their 48 amp stage 2 level 2 charger, home charger. It's that little one that you've seen before. So it was $400 in November, and then they reduced the price to $350. Maybe it was a Christmas sale. I don't know. But now they've increased the price in January to $425. Still one of the least level 2 chargers, expensive level 2 chargers on the market. But I mean, that's just some EV news. I feel like we need a segment thing for that now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like a lightning bolt, like something from like Frankenstein.
Right, yeah, something like that.
I don't know. So that's EV news.
That's all you got today. We don't even have a segue.
Let's see. Speaking of lightning bolts.
Segue.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
I always love it when I just hear something said from a leader that I had no idea was even out there, and I'm like, oh, they get it.
Oh, that's why. That's why they're growing.
They get it. You want to take this? You want me to take it?
Well, so this year at the National Retail Federation show, which just as a note, like, why do we in auto not get invited to the National Retail Federation show?
I just like the fact that they use the word federation.
Lowe's successful CEO Mervin Ellison gave a rousing talk on his journey and gave some good advice to aspiring executives. Listen to this. His advice is to just take tough assignments. He said over his 25-year career, the only jobs that he's ever taken were roles where someone was either fired or pushed out ahead of him. So he was always advancing into these tough roles. It says Mr. Ellison, who is also Black, also noted that not too many people that look like me have been able to lead 2 Fortune 500 companies, also including JCPenney. He also lacked an elite education from a prestigious education institution and early access to executive sponsors. So this guy has like fought, basically what he's saying, like, I've fought my way. I've worked the hard work. I've gone after this tough stuff. And I'm looking at my other aspiring executives going, those are the things that you want to get into, because those are the challenges that make you stronger as a leader, as an executive, in pursuit of not just like the fluff job next, but going after the hard one. And that's that's encouraging to me, because I always feel like I get myself in situations that I'm a bit in over my head, right? And it's like, okay, what do I do next? And I think that's what, provides the opportunity to go, okay, I've got to figure this out, or there's no way it's going to happen. This isn't just going to come easy.
Legit. I mean, I think that's a relevant message for automotive, specifically in a time like this when things are shifting, things are changing. We're seeing a lot of the next generation stepping up or saying they want to step up. A lot of people say they do. This advice: take the tough jobs. He also said to his parents, when he said, well, I didn't have the prestigious education, I didn't have access to executives to mentor me and show me how it is early. He did say his parents were incredibly influential in teaching him perseverance and built his ethic on the pillars of putting God first, focusing on education, and working hard. One of his goals is trying to create a company I wish I could have worked for when I was coming up the ranks.
There you go.
That's our encouragement to you.
Put that line in your belt.
Take some tough jobs and create the environment that you wish you had getting you to that spot, so that the next person can, and you can go even higher. Let's go, automotive. It's only Wednesday.